This is the First Read Ultimate Spider-Man podcast where we discuss Miles Morales, the
one and only Spider-Man.
I'm Zach, and with me as always, fresh off the heels of his debut episode as an editor of the First Read Ultimate Spider-Man podcast, John, the soundboard, Opat.
Let's put in, Zach, this is your episode, so let's put in a thunderous round of applause right here for you. For your editing of the first 140 episodes of this podcast, because that was not fun. It took a long time, and as I've told you a number of times, and as everybody does, I think that I hate my own voice, and it was no fun to listen to. So how about another thunderous applause for the listeners for putting up with this for 140 episodes?
All right, I just put it in.
How's your week been?
Off to a good start. How about yours?
It's been pretty good. This was a big weekend. It was my big fantasy football draft this weekend.
Oh, I did know that.
Yeah.
And also a little one that
yes.
happened concurrently.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Yes, I had a bunch of buddies come into town, and it was a lot of fun, and they were here from like Friday until Sunday.
How do you think the draft went? Do you feel good about your team?
I was, of course, going to ask you about my team. Okay. I'm getting this team pulled up. It's a 14-team league.
Okay.
And I had the 13th pick.
Ooh, hate to see it.
So, first pick, I did zero research this whole season. The last week before the draft, I was even mentally at this point, I'm just going to actively not do any research. It went from passively not doing research to a decision. I was like, I'm just going to go in blind, see what happens. I'll ask my buddies when there's people whose names I don't know at all. So first pick, 13th pick of the draft, I got Ashton Genty. Then it's half point PPR. Then coming back, I got Jonathan Taylor. I could have taken Devon A-Chain. And I guess maybe he's going through an injury or something. I don't know. Taylor seems safer. In the third round, I took 106 picks later.
Right.
In the third round, I got Marvin Harrison Jr. And then I think I probably took George Kittle here. And then I think I took Jerry Jeudy and then Rome Odunze, or maybe I took Rome Odunze up there. So that's basically my good team, Rome Odunze, George Kittle, Jerry Jeudy, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jonathan Taylor, Ashton Genty. QB's kind of a weak spot. I have Jared Goff.
Dude, no way. Jared Goff is who I've been targeting hard.
Well, he plays a bunch of games in a dome this year.
Every year.
Yeah.
In one of the best offenses in the league. And if you look at Jared Goff's numbers, he is the exact quarterback that you should go for in fantasy because the name is not sexy, but he will get you elite production. Just playing the position the most boring way possible. I mean, I hate to say he's like Peyton Manning, but in today's NFL, he's the closest we have to that, where it's just there's no highlight
Probably
reel.
Joe Burrow. I mean, Joe Burrow is the type of he's Joe Burrow light,
Yeah. He's Joe Burrow that you can draft in the 10th round of any dynasty league.
Worse. He doesn't have the same ceiling. He doesn't have the same floor. But they're pretty similar, right? No rushing upside. Some games they're going to throw 4 touchdowns.
I'm telling you,
we'll see.
Of the pure pocket passers, I would put Jared Goff above people that I like even better than him. Justin Herbert is one of my favorite players in football, period. And
he's regressed like crazy the last 2 years.
Well,
2 years ago it looked like he was gonna be with Joe Burrow, and now I think that's their offense also. They just don't throw the ball enough.
It's the scheme and it's the people around him. I maintain Justin Herbert, if you gave him weapons, he could be a top 5 quarterback in the league.
Yeah, I would.
And
agree.
I think in fantasy, this was all to say I like Jared Goff even over him.
Yeah. So the team, I'm pretty happy about it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I can say a little anecdote about one of my leagues that I'm in because it's just kind of blowing my mind. I have a buddy who gets football and sort of knows the scene, and I've been telling him this, and I think he thinks I'm joking when I say I'm in a star-studded fantasy league for like a very niche Midwestern emo community.
Nice.
But it's like A-listers, okay? I'm pulling top-tier names here. I'm not going to say any of them, but some of them might be affiliated with like some festivals, some records, some bands. And then there's me, who just gets to be the fly on the wall because he knew the person who organized it. And I'll just say, we're whipping up some crazy things over there. We're already canceling next year's biggest band. We're cooking up what Sixth Wave emo's going to sound like.
Do these guys pay attention to the league? Is it a good league?
I don't know. They just drafted.
Oh.
It's the first year for a redraft league. So, I mean, we'll see if I'm like really in the Illuminati of Midwest emo or if like no one checks it by week 8.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see that.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. That's still going to be fun anyways.
Yeah.
That's like me having, an NFL player work in the school I'm at. I like go past him in the hall and like say hi to him and then like freak out.
Which NFL player works at your school?
Well, I'm not going to say, I'll say you can bleep it. I'll tell you, but
okay.
But we've said where I work before, so I wouldn't want to like
dox this
guy.
Yeah.
But
oh, no way.
Yeah. So dude, today I walked past him. I'm like, hey, do you want to go golfing with like me and the old gym teacher? And I don't think he'll end up going, right? He's like married with kids and everything, but still, I'll get him one of these days. One of these like Fridays, I'll get him. And then especially since, I mean, we're like 2 of the males that work in the school, so.
Oh, a friendship is bound to happen.
Exactly, right? When like during the professional development days and like early on, and people are probably like kind of intimidated to go up and talk to him. Like he's an NFL player. Everybody knows that.
Right.
So like sometimes he'd just be like chilling there by himself. And so I would just like walk up and start talking to him, which is not my personality at all. But I'm like, I gotta just go for it here.
Dude, yes, you're doing the right thing. That's awesome. Yeah.
Did I tell you how I like introduced myself to him?
No.
Oh,
I haven't heard any of this. I would have remembered this.
So
is this new this year, or was he there last year?
Yes, no, it's new this year. So I walk up to him. It's one of the PD days, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm John. Good to meet you." And he introduces himself, and he, says his name, and I kind of repeat it, questioning. We'll pretend his name's like Tim. I'm like, Tim?
Tebow?
Tim? And
yeah, guys, John works with Tim Tebow.
And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, gosh, you look so familiar. I swear I've seen you around somewhere before.
Dude, you knew.
And he goes, and he's like, yeah, I don't know, maybe in the like school drop-off line or something. And I'm like, no, obviously like on TV for the Colts. Duh. Anyway, I thought it was pretty funny, but
wait, you actually told him that? You're like, obviously I know who you are?
Yeah, I said that. I was like, no, dude, obviously I'm talking about TV.
And did he laugh?
I mean, he maybe like chuckled a little bit. Like I thought that was a pretty funny. I had thought of that beforehand, and I was like, this is kind of funny. And I don't think he really got it, I think he's maybe a little too humble to have like known that I was joking. He like actually thought I was serious, which I think is why my hilarious joke didn't fully land.
How is he not?
But I also think I played it off enough that it was still like funny.
Yeah, no, that's a very funny joke. I'm wondering, how is he not used to getting recognized in the city like all the time?
I don't know. I wonder if he does.
Surely.
But here's what I also know.
If I saw him, I'd know it was him.
But here's what I also know. I met him out at a bar years ago, funny enough, with a buddy of mine that knows his wife from high school pretty well. And so my buddy was in town for the draft. We went out to a bar, and you know, they wanted him and his high school friend were texting because he's in town. Anyway, blah blah blah. So we go meet up. We're all like hammered, you know. Plays for the Colts currently, and he's also like not having any of it. We're like psyched to be there, and he's like kind of like he's like sober. He's just like out at a bar, probably because his wife dragged him out to go like meet up with a high school friend, right? Yeah. And so we like take a picture, and we're all like drunk, and he's like kind of straight faced. And anyway, I like told him about that. Obviously, one of the first times I was talking to him, because it came up, and he was like, oh no, that's probably just like my social anxiety. I just didn't know what to do. So I think he's a pretty private person and like keeps to himself. So, you know, he probably wouldn't expect people to like, I don't know, think he's famous or something.
Well, he sounds like a good guy.
He does seem like a good guy from the few conversations I've had.
Your joke though, I think it's so funny that I've also made that joke before.
The other people I met, the other people I've told that story to, thought it was pretty funny too, and I was like, "Thank you." I thought it was going to land.
I think it's a fun icebreaker when there's someone who clearly you know it from one context, and then you just are like, "Oh wait, maybe I know you from like a different one."
Yeah,
like. At LDB 2022, you know, everyone's heard the story a million times.
Some music fest.
Yeah. You know, I jump off the stage at 1 p.m. on the first day and split my head open and have a concussion and am bleeding. So like one of the people who's taking care of me here at this show in Louisville when I've split my head open is like Brian Garris of Knocked Loose's brother. And that's like the vocalist for the big hometown band that made it out and is like Grammy nominated and tours the world.
Hometown from where you're from?
No, from Louisville.
Okay.
Yeah. Knocked Loose, they're like a professionally touring band now. Like last summer I saw them open for Slipknot and they had just as long of a set as Slipknot. They're like really big now. And this was a couple years ago, but they were still like had gotten through to the mainstream at that point. And I'm sitting here obviously with a concussion, bleeding from my head. This guy's like, you know, giving me ice, giving me water, talking to me like, "Hey man, you good? You're not going to fall asleep?" And I'm just like, "Hey, I know you. You're that one guy's brother." And you just see in his eyes, he's like, "Oh my God, I have to get this every day of my life." And I'm like, "Yeah, the drummer for Dare," which is their third brother, the youngest one, who is like less famous.
That's great. And the other brother is more famous.
Like insane, like 100 times more famous. It'd be like going up to...
So there's 3 brothers in 3 bands, and they're each at different fame levels. This is the Goldilocks of the punk rock scene.
They're the Mannings of hardcore. It'd be like someone going up to Eli Manning and being like psyched because Cooper Manning is his big brother.
You're Arch Manning's uncle. Holy mackerel.
That would be funny. I want to know the guy who knows all the Mannings except for Eli.
Okay.
Anyways,
we've run this along. Should we get into it?
Let's get into it. But first, a word from our sponsor, Sleeper, the only app for fantasy football.
Every business says they're better, but the ones that earn and display the BBB seal back it up. It instantly identifies businesses that are committed to operating with integrity, honoring promises, and telling the truth. Makes you wonder why every business doesn't have it. So look for it, because it's looking out for you. That's why it's the sign of a better business. And find a better business anytime at bbb.org.
All right, and we're back.
We are back, and that did remind me, well, let's say it really quickly right here, just so I know we talked about my fantasy football league, but we did also do the listener league, so who knows, maybe we can talk about that a little bit at the end.
Hey, if you have any wide receiver ones, I'm trying to swing a trade.
Okay, get into Spider-Man for us.
Well, I wish I were.
Oh my gosh, that's right, yeah.
We're in Ultimate Comics, The Ultimates, issue 3.
Which is actually great because these comics rock.
It's written by Jonathan Hickman, art by Asad Ribic, colored by Dean White, and lettered by VC's Clayton Cowles. And so we open 2 days after the fall of Asgard. This is where we left off. All the gods got slaughtered and fell from the sky, and Thor lost his power because that was what he was like connected to.
Yeah, I didn't actually remember that.
Did you read this blurb?
I didn't for issue 3, and then I read it for issue 4, and I was like, oh, Thor lost his powers. I guess that makes sense, but I sure don't remember them saying that.
Yeah, they kind of brushed past it. Okay, so we've got Tony Stark talking to someone and saying, I want to show you something. I'm a collector. I'm very rich. I have many cool things. Here we go. He shows Thor what looks to be a very sexy Thor suit that Tony has built. And he's got the hammer. He's got Stormbreaker, the big old axe. Because remember, Tony gave his son Mjolnir and shoved him into the World Tree. And Thor's like, this isn't going to work. I've lost my powers. I've been broken. And Tony says, well, that's just too damn bad. Right now, the world needs a god of thunder. So Thor doesn't get to be broken. He gets rebuilt. I thought that was a cool line. Kind of reminds me of the scene in Infinity War when he goes to the forge and he's like, I don't know. There's a lot of good, like, Thor pick yourself up moments.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, this entire 2 issues was how good of a storyline this is for Thor. Just like losing everything and I don't know, just having to, keep fighting.
Yeah.
Pick himself up. I mean, this happened in Infinity War, it happened in Endgame, it's happened in this.
It happened in Ragnarok, and this was
happened in Ragnarok, yeah.
What we saw here was
Thor.
Kind of Ragnarok, right? I mean, they killed everyone in Asgard.
Yeah.
So then it says 1 week after the fall of Asgard, the world, condition black. And we're on like the SHIELD control deck. And Fury goes, Hawkeye, anything. And we see Hawkeye's there. Yay, he survived his mission or whatever he was doing.
I can't believe how they're just forcing him on us like this. And even on this page, he just like interjects. He's like, yeah, I was in Southeast Asia, guys. Remember? Like last week? I mean, I think he says it like 2 different times. He's like, look at what I was doing here before this page.
Remember, guys, the Hawkeye miniseries might be over, but it's still on those shelves. You guys got to go buy it. They put all of their chips into that miniseries. And they're like, any word on the European teams? And they're like, not since we lost the feed. I'd assume the worst. And we see Jamie Braddock getting absolutely ran through with a sword by one of the robots. And they're talking about all these other European cities, and we know the city is expanding. And as it gets closer to some of these cities, they're like, they saw it coming. They did what you would do or what I would do. And it's like implied that these cities nuked themselves or they committed mass suicide or something to avoid being taken over by the city. And that's really grim. It feels like this is as big of a threat, if not bigger, than Ultimatum was. When we're talking about the stakes being like Europe is being swallowed by this thing and people are killing themselves instead of getting into it.
Where is it implied that they nuked themselves?
Berlin and Munich had both been absorbed by the city. Warsaw and Brussels were getting ready to be. They did exactly what you or I would have done, boss.
So I took that to mean they just like died fighting.
Interesting.
Like here's how I read it. Nick Fury says they should have waited and coordinated with us, meaning like other people rushed into the fight, you know. And then Hawkeye's like, these places had already been absorbed. They were about to be. They did what you or I would have done, meaning they just went and, you know, they rushed into the fight, just like, I don't know, Nick Fury and Hawkeye. That's how I read it.
Interesting. Maybe this line is something of a Rorschach test. And
well, this is why Hawkeye is such a great character, Zach.
You never know what he's saying.
It's the nuance of it, okay?
That's right. Yeah. Is Hawkeye saying what we all would do is die on our feet or live on our knees? What is the way of man?
Well, no, well, you're saying they nuked it, right?
Well, I guess they're dying.
Not living on their. Yeah, exactly. They either just die fighting, or I guess they die nuking themselves. I don't know. They do send off some. You know, Nick Fury does send some nukes later, so maybe that is what they meant. But I don't.
It's a very nuclear issue.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, what does that say about me that my mind immediately went to, well, they did what you and I would have done.
Well, maybe because Nick Fury did some nukes. Zach, you're not allowed to make jokes like that, okay? Because it makes me nervous, which is what you said to me.
Oh, like forever ago?
Yeah, with the emo
because
joke.
you didn't like a Dashboard Confessional song?
Yes.
Okay,
right. So I don't know. It was something. Oh, I think the reason it was probably in your head was because Nick Fury did nuke them later on. You know,
I think,
and like they almost nuked themselves to death. So that's probably why that is what Nick Fury would do.
Yeah, he does play fast and loose with nukes, doesn't he?
Yes.
So we see them flying towards the city. And I'm not going to be able to describe what the page looks like very well through an audio medium, but it is otherworldly and it's terrifying, and the scale of it is just like too big, and it really does look like a Avengers level threat. This is a good callback, I think, to the visual language of the original Ultimates series, where we always said it looks really cinematic, it's widescreen. There's not a lot of word bubbles. The art kind of gets to speak for itself, because these pages do the exact same thing. And it's this fleet of helicarriers and helicopters flying towards the city. And the city has its own defenses that it's like firing back. And they're rocketing forward, and they're like making a plan of action. And Thor and Iron Man are going to jump out, but Iron Man tells Thor that he built a little secret into that hammer, and if everything goes to hell, that's their only way to teleport them out of there. And Nick Fury is adamant there's not going to be any going home empty-handed. We win or we do not. And they just start blasting towards the city, and like immediately a ton of helicarriers just get taken out of the sky, like with ease.
I'm pretty sure Nick Fury is immortal in a lot of comic universes. Have you heard that?
Well, we saw that he had like powers randomly in that one issue.
I know in this one he got the super soldier serum.
Well,
like back in World War II, I think.
Well, he was glowing in like one of the issues we read. At the very end, it's like, oh, Nick Fury has powers. But
was he?
Hush, hush. And we were like, I don't know if that goes anywhere.
Well, I think that is a Nick Fury thing, that he is like immortal in some runs. And if he is, he's not showing good leadership here.
Wouldn't be the first time.
That's true. Yeah. Okay. So this is right in line with Nick Fury. He's having a good issue.
He'd have to be a good leader for him to like show good
leadership. Yep.
Yeah, you will know him by the fruits he bears. And they're talking about all these damn helicarriers that are going down. They're like, Eagle 6 down, Eagle 8 down, birds away, fire, fire, fire. And I'm just thinking, like, how many people are stationed on that thing? 10,000? Did we just lose like 20,000 people in like a second? But thank God Nick Fury's immortal.
I think that to this issue and the next issue's detriment a bit, it's pretty hard to tell what's going on in a lot of these scenes where things are just like blowing up, or like it's one side's metal flying things against another side's metal flying things. And I don't know which is which or what's happening. And I think it does look really cinematic. I had that thought like a couple times, but maybe that like hurts it just a little bit.
Sure. The story isn't as clear, but the action looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's a fair assessment. So Thor and Iron Man jump out and they start beating shit to hell. They're flying around and blowing up robots. And to John's point, it is hard to even tell if these are really robots or if these are like mech suits being powered by the children of tomorrow, which I think they are, but some of the panels definitely don't portray that very well. And
for instance, you know, this one of our few panels with Spider-Woman, she just like asks if something happened, but she doesn't finish her question. So I don't even know what she's asking. And then Hawkeye says it's nothing. And that's just like the only thing that we see of Spider-Woman. And if she's supposed to be a Peter Parker clone, wouldn't she be inserting herself? This is a big event for Spider-Man to just be sitting on the ship doing nothing.
Yeah. I think it is
she's feeling underutilized in this issue. If she's going to show up, we might as well give her something to do.
Well, you know why you and I would think that way? Is because
are on the Spider-Man podcast.
Kind of, because Brian Michael Bendis would think that way, and because he's her creator, and he's the only other person we've seen write her yet. This is the first time someone who probably isn't really following her story just has her as a character that they have to give a couple lines to. So I wonder how much Hickman, thinks of her as a character that matters in the same way that we do.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And
but it doesn't make it right.
It doesn't make it right. And something else that it doesn't make right is the like mech suits that the Children of Tomorrow are piloting crash through the wall of the main helicarrier, and they slash Jessica Drew
it's
right
really
in the
fun
stomach. It's
really fun. Sorry, I'm cutting back a page. That's why I just interrupted so blatantly.
You're good.
This Thor Iron Man team up is a good team up. I like their friendship that they've got going. For all of the things we've talked about with the Ultimates, we give a lot of praise, I think, to Tony Stark, Thor, and Captain America, at least the depictions of those characters.
I'd agree. Yeah. Well said. I do wish they went back to Thor being like just a based commie.
I think he still is.
We just haven't seen it recently.
Yeah.
I think he's more like standard Norse god Thor.
Well, think of all of the stuff that's happened. At a certain point, politics just don't matter as much.
Sure.
Right.
Anyways, so yeah, they bust through the hole. They stab Spider-Woman. The second Black Widow, this is not Natasha Romanoff. This is like Fury's ex-wife, who's going by that name, jumps in and starts shooting the children
That's too
of tomorrow.
bad. I thought this was Natasha Romanoff the whole time.
It's not. She was a double agent in this universe, and now she's dead.
I thought you told me that.
Yeah.
And that's why also Black Widow jumps in and she says, "I see you're caught in a web." And she's got her guns pointed at the children of tomorrow, right? And then Fury says, yeah, let's just take it easy, Black Widow. Okay, nice and easy. And I don't, it's like he's talking to her like they're on opposite sides. And then he's like, easy. Oh, they're gonna. And I don't know what they're gonna do. It's just not well explained. There's like missing panels to the story, you know?
You're right.
And then Hawkeye just shoots him with a bow and arrow. But I mean, we can like fill in the gaps mentally, right? Oh, the children of tomorrow were about to somehow, I don't know, escape Fury and the new Black Widow, but I don't see how they were going to, and nothing shows. It's just, we're just missing panels like all over the place.
I took it as he wanted to take them in alive to question them or to study them or something. And then they were like,
that's a total Nick Fury thing to do.
They're about to fight back. It, we'll just shoot him.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, they're going around. They're like, General, what do we do next? And he's like, launch the nuke. And sure enough, we were promised a nuke in this episode, and we got a nuke. And they try and nuke the city, and it's not really clear what happens. Wish it was. Wish I could tell you if it hit the target or missed it, or what this giant robot is. But another like mech suit thing, but kind of looks like an Egyptian god, like from Yu-Gi-Oh! It's very weird. It comes out and it's not clear what it's doing.
Yeah, none of it is clear at all. Here's how I took it though. What it looks like to me is the nuke goes off. It like hits the dome, right? Or at least it's going towards it. And it explodes, and then all of the children of tomorrow in the air are like around the explosion. And it looks to me like they are getting stronger from it. Like somehow they're just all in such a perfect circle around it. My mind goes to they're somehow absorbing that energy. And then this giant robot does like come out, which I'm just like still just doing like my own story at this point because they're not telling me what it is. So I'm just assuming that this robot is now like really powered up because of the nuke. And then it just like explodes everything. I think because we don't see it.
It almost looks like a ritual with like how perfectly circular they are.
Yes.
And John, I'm sure...
And there is a person in the big robot, by the way. There is a person like piloting it in the center. So, you know, it is humongous because this person is very small in its little bubble.
Yeah. John, this is so fun for me in a meta way because I know we're both thinking the same thing. This is exactly what happens in End of Evangelion. Right? These guys even have the wings on their back. They look like the mass-produced Avas. They're in this big circle. They're doing this ritual we can't understand. It's probably the end of the world. There's no way around it. We had to bring Evangelion into this.
Yes. There is a new girl at the school, and she likes anime. We get a lot of, like, Burmese, Myanmar refugees. And so there's like people from Thailand and Myanmar, Burma. And I know that she likes anime. And I've actually been like thinking the next time I just like am randomly talking to her that I'm going to see if she watches Evangelion.
Don't do that.
Don't.
How old is she?
7th grade. I know she likes anime because other teachers have said that, right? She's like shy. She doesn't talk to people. So we're always like trying to think of, you know, ways to just like shoot the shit, you know, get some of the newer people talking.
So what if she said yes? What would you say?
I'd say I've got a buddy who it's like his favorite show. He tells me to watch it all the time. I couldn't get into it. And then I would probably say something like, wow, but maybe I'll have to check it out, which I, of course, would be bullshit because I'm not going to.
Right. I have a comment on this Instagram reel that has like 25,000 likes, and it's about Evangelion, and it's Alex Jones accidentally explains the plot of Evangelion perfectly. And I commented, well, did he accidentally explain it, or did he just watch Evangelion and believe it's real? And my phone buzzes like multiple times a day because people keep liking that.
How long ago was that?
Dude, like 2 weeks.
Nice. You're like famous.
I'm not famous, but I have a comment that makes my phone go off a lot. Somehow it's worse than being famous.
To every person that replies to it, you should post this podcast. I'd be like, hey, if you think that's funny, you should check out this podcast.
Well, it's funny
just
that we
fully sell out for this
we
podcast.
Just did the same thing. Instead of Alex Jones accidentally explains Evangelion, we had John Opat accidentally explains End of Evangelion. Just by you describing the scene on this panel.
There you go.
Anyways. Okay, so we're yelling out all these other eagles that are gone, which are the big ships full of human
Hawkeye
lives.
has 400 lines in this issue, and none of them matter. And we can't give Spider-Woman 2 lines, and she gets stabbed in the chest.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Actually, we kind of breezed by that, because that's right where I interrupted you. What happened to Spider-Woman? She's
okay? Fine. She's still standing, yeah. They just
is she? Okay.
Slashed her in the ribs or stomach area.
Oh, it was a slash, not a stab.
Yeah. Oh, we're good.
You can shake those off. Yeah.
Superheroes get slashed all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Anyways, Eagle 3 down, Eagle 12 gone. All these ships are going down.
Thanks, Hawkeye.
Yep. And Fury has the brilliant idea. He's just going to nuke them again. And he's like, arm the other warhead, fire everything. And they kind of like talk him out of it. They're like, Nick, we gotta retreat, dude. We're not going to win this. And
to be fair to Nick Fury, the man has never not had a plan.
Are you being serious right now?
Yes. He always is given some sort of orders, right? Maybe someone who's more panicked, who's not as savvy and as veteran as Nick Fury is, they might have seen the first nuke miss and panicked. And thought to themselves, I don't know what to do. Maybe we should do this or that. Not Nick Fury. He right away,
Yeah.
I'm joking, obviously.
I know.
It's not going anywhere. It's just going to end. This wasn't well thought out.
Like Nick Fury, John always has plans.
There you go.
Okay, so they're like, all right, we got to pull out, use Thor's hammer. And Tony flies over to Thor and he's like, hate to be a bother, Thor, but it's time to leave. And Thor says, go without me, as he like slashes someone with Stormbreaker. And Fury goes, that's the thing. They can't. Dude, such a good
Tony
little panel.
says that. Tony says that.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Tony says that's the thing. They can't.
Yeah, it's awesome.
This is one panel with 3 word balloons, and both of these guys feel like John said, they just have a really good chemistry. You can just imagine Tony snarkily being like, well, they kind of need you to take them back.
Tony and Thor are 100% like stealing the show this issue. And it might sound like, oh, we're really hating on the art and Nick Fury and Hawkeye. The entire way reading this issue, I was like, oh my God, this is so good. This is going to be like a 9 or a 10 out of 10. Like, I'm just digging this whole thing. Even though there were parts where I'm like confused on maybe what exactly is happening, I still just like couldn't wait to turn the next page,
Yeah. Yeah, even if you don't understand what's happening, you feel it. That's the thing about the art. That's why we said it's cinematic, it's not expressive. So Thor's like, this isn't over. And he uses his axe and it glows, and he's like transporting the fleet now. And they just like move, I guess, all of their ships.
Thor can do that. That must be just like a Stormbreaker thing.
They do that now? That's fly fine. Now?
It's, I can suspend my disbelief as long as it's just like, yeah, Thor can just do that.
Yep.
It's built into the story.
Yeah. So it says later, the world, condition black. And it's it's Thor and Tony just standing out on...
What do you think condition black means?
It's the codes that they were using in the first issue to like monitor situations. And I think like code red is like the worst one, but then condition black is like, oh, it's like worse than that. Like,
okay,
like the bad thing has already come and happened and we're like in the aftermath of it. And I think they've been in condition black this whole issue.
Yeah.
So they're talking and Thor's like, well, what's going on? And Tony says, total calamity. It's a train wreck. Assessment's ongoing, but one thing's for certain. It would have been a total disaster if you hadn't successfully jumped the fleet away. 4 helicarriers destroyed, 2 more docked indefinitely, over 9,000 men and women killed. But on the side of the Angels, almost 16,000 live. You saved them, Thor. You saved us. And Thor says, a pack of hungry dogs are devouring the world, and we prolonged the inevitable with a bone. In that light, do you really think saving anyone today mattered? And Thor says, well, I do like the looks of that pouty-looking MP on the bridge, so I appreciate you buying me some time there. And Thor kind of looks at Tony, and Tony's like, what?
Before we go to the next page, I want to talk about this page.
Okay.
So I think Thor's costume in this is what they based his like Infinity War look on, which is sweet. Like when he shows up and screams, about bringing Thanos. So this is just a really good look. We've said it before, but I guess it's worth repeating because they're having another good scene. But Iron Man and Thor are stealing the show.
Yeah.
And I read everything in a perfect Robert Downey Jr. accent. So this speech is really like, it's a good one, Oh, Robert Downey Jr. is crushing.
It's hard not to imagine this Tony Stark as being very similar to the MCU Tony Stark.
Yeah.
That's just the reality of the Ultimate Universe.
All of them, kind of.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And Thor goes, you are an arrogant rake, Stark, and a formidable warrior, a much better man than most. I want you to promise me something. It sounds like a goodbye. Tony's like, yeah. And Thor says, when men speak of today, make sure they know that what follows wasn't grief or madness, but fate, and that I met her well. And Tony Stark, ladies and gentlemen, one of the smartest people on Earth, doesn't understand what's going on. He's like, Thor, what are you... Wait, no. And Thor says, Anthony Stark, I have been honored to call you my friend, but I will have my vengeance. Farewell. And he transports or teleports or whatever away while Tony yells no. And we see Thor in the city. This is pretty cool. It's like he teleported in with so much power. The rocks from the ground are like flying up around him. And he says, I will see you again in another life. And the issue ends.
I'm a big fan of when you really get to like understand how old he is compared to everybody else that he hangs out with.
Yes.
Like there's some good speeches in the MCU where it's like, oh yeah, all of this stuff we've been doing, Thor has been dealing with for like 2 years, but he has lived 100 full lifetimes already, and this is only like a blip. So this kind of felt like that, where this is just like the next thing that's happened in a long line of things that he's like dealt with over the course of his life.
Yes. Now, John, that reminds me of another really good anime that you should ask this girl if she's seen, which is Frieren Beyond Journey's End, which is about like an elf. Like it's almost like Tolkien rules, like elves live forever, dwarves live kind of long, men live as long as we normally do. So she's an elf, and so she has this problem that you just described that Thor has, where Like, she'll build meaningful relationships, and then the person dies in like what to her feels like minutes. And she'll be like, oh, I didn't really know them. And these people had like built their whole lives around like how much they loved her. And it's only when they're gone that she realizes this. And so the whole story is about her like 80 years after she's been on this like world-saving adventure with like the hero of their time who was in love with her. And like 80 years later, he's dead. And she's like thinking back on it, and she's like, oh shit, I should have like spent more time with Himmel. I should have said this. I should have done that. That's a good show. You should ask the girl if she's watched that.
Okay. What's it called?
Frieren.
Beyond
Journey's End.
Okay. This is also, it's also nice when Thor gets put into the role of like old wise person versus, you know, because he's always just like maybe the punching guy or like goofy or, you know.
I wouldn't even
like
say
that.
he's like wise, but he's like a Shakespearean character, right? Like he has like a little monologue and he's like, you know, what good is saving the lives today that will die tomorrow? And it's like, dude, that's kind of like an edgy teenager thought. Obviously you should save people, but the way he says it comes across like very poetic.
Yeah. I'm going to say one of my favorite lines in the MCU is when Thor's talking to Rocket after like they save him in Infinity War. And he says, I've lived for 1,500 years and I've killed twice as many enemies as that. And every one of them would have rather killed me. And I think that that's like, oh man, that's like crazy to think about, right? You know, for 1,500 years, he's just been fighting people and he's never died. And then he's like, fate doesn't want me to die. So there's, you know, I'll go kill Thanos next.
Dude, that's such a bar. Thor should have been a rapper.
He should have been.
He would have so many good songs about killing the ops.
Okay, so what do we think? What's our rating scale?
Out of 10 helicarriers that we lost.
Yep. I'll give this one a 9 out of 10 helicarriers that we lost.
Okay. That's equivalent to 90,000 Hearth Michelsons.
I couldn't believe how many people died, man, in this. It didn't really seem like that. And then, is that what Tony said? Like, yeah. Or maybe they say it in the next one, how many people it is. And it's like, holy mackerel, I didn't know that we lost that many people in that issue.
Right. Yeah.
It all happened so fast.
They always scale up the numbers for dramatic effect. Yeah, dude, I'm not going to lie. I think I'm going to give it like a 6.5 out of 10 because I just am not that impressed knowing what Hickman is capable of. I've seen what the mean of his work is, and I've seen what the peak of his work is.
I guess I'm just a much bigger sucker for this Thor and Tony bromance than you are.
No, the bromance was written well, and it had some good lines, but just so many pages were things that another writer could have given me. And when I read a Hickman comic, I kind of expect more.
Okay. I guess that's kind of a compliment. You've kind of negged Jonathan Hickman there.
He's a victim of his own success.
Yeah. So, should we get into mine? Issue 4?
Take us there.
So, issue 4, is this the same creative team, Zach?
It is the same team.
Cool. So, Thor is standing in the city, and as he is kind of jumping around it, he notices that it seems like it's empty. And then we cut to inside the dome, and that's where kind of like all the action is taking place from the Maker and all of his guys. So it seems that there is the dome, and then somehow it has like extended outward.
Yeah, I think the dome is like the nucleus of the cell.
Yes. And what would be the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell? Probably whatever's creating the children of tomorrow would be the mitochondria of the cell.
Yeah, probably. Well, the city that they've given like a face to and they're talking to, I think that would be the mitochondria.
Well, no, I think that would be the nucleolus, Zach.
Oh.
Which is kind of the inner circle inside the nucleus.
How silly.
I think that the birthing place we see later would be the mitochondria.
Okay.
Especially since, as you know, because I've mentioned on this podcast before, all mitochondria in your body are given to you by your mother's side. So there actually is some kind of birthing. Maybe obviously we're really touching on what Jonathan Hickman was trying to put down here. I think we've cracked it. And if you want to keep going and go cell organelle by organelle, we can do that.
But we saved that for the Patreon exclusive episode.
That'll be our first Patreon exclusive episode.
Yes.
We're about to be rich, baby!
If you liked such episodes as Zach explains punk rock to John, Zach explains Evangelion to John, stick around for John explains the mitochondria to Zach.
Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, so they're in the dome. This is where the Maker are. They're with their city that we said is probably just a big Wizard of Oz thing. But all of the children of tomorrow, which we're just going to call goons, because they're just kind of like the goons for the Maker, I think.
John, these are perfect people, crafted with a perfect message.
And yet, they are fulfilling the role of goon.
What does that say, Jonathan?
They are no different than Dakota Bob or Montana Joe or whoever we were talking about a million years ago.
Oh, the enforcers.
The enforcers, yes.
That's funny. That's a callback. Well, maybe that's what Jonathan Hickman is saying, is that really goons, unquestioning, deeply loyal, that is the true peak of humanity.
Wow. Yes. Sheeple.
Yeah. That's the perfect organism right there.
So the goons are kind of talking to the city head, like the robot head, and they're like, "There's someone who's in our city. Identify him, please." And the Maker's just kind of watching from a distance. Man, he's like really got this figured out. Like these guys don't suspect him at all. He's just like watching from the shadows, kind of, Like they know he's in charge, but they don't think for 1 second he's like running things, I don't think.
It's like they think he is some passive god that created them and now is letting them have control over the situations. And he's like, no, I'm still the guy pulling the strings.
Yeah. And they analyze Thor. And they're like, oh, yes, this is the guy that the Maker was telling us is Thor. And the Maker says, oh, well, we'll have to do something about this. And then we cut back to Thor, and he's kind of just like bouncing through the city, like looking for things to fight. And he stumbles across the birthing place that we mentioned earlier. And there are just rows of like babies being born, probably pretty similar to like the Matrix kind of is what it reminded me of.
Yeah,
and I'm sure there's better options also. There's probably better things too, but yeah. And as Thor is kind of looking at these and getting closer and examining them, somebody says, "Please stop." And she says, "Tranquility, stranger. I mean you no harm, but it's unwise to overstimulate the children. Developmentally, this is a very delicate time for them. In vitro mathematics requires complete concentration."
They're doing school in there. They're learning mathematics in the womb.
Yeah, that is kind of crazy, and it's a nice little bit of world building to see how these people have developed and gotten so smart, you know. What level of math do you think that they are coming out of the womb with knowledge of?
I would
counting, fractions, algebra, calculus, what level?
So if they were in there for however many, like, thousands of years, and they think they've reached the end of evolution, I think the idea is for everyone to be born ready to function in this society. So I would say probably a pretty high level of mathematics. Possibly so everything.
I think, yeah. Oh, screw these guys.
These dorks.
Think how much better we could have been if we were born into this society.
I don't know, man. Because
actually, these guys are dorks. You're right.
Fresh out the womb, you have to go get a job.
Ugh. Oh my god. Just be told what to do by some guy with a fucked up head all day. So Thor is talking to this woman, and she's like the fourth nurse or something, and she says she's the fourth nurse caretaker of this crib, reproduction unit 102. So there are at least 102 of these places on the city in the dome, you think? Is that what she's saying?
I think so.
Okay. And she's basically like, look, you've got to leave. This is you're not genetically, like, you're causing problems with the air, you know.
You're not pure.
You're not pure.
You're going to stink it up with your damn Asgard, scent.
And she's like, and also there's another, like, humanoid guy a block down, and please take him with you on your way out. She doesn't know that she's helping them, obviously. So not everyone in this society is, like, inherently evil and taught evil ways, right?
No, she's a nurse. She's a caretaker. She is getting the man with the axe away from her babies. That's her job. Yeah.
And she, like, doesn't know why this other human... She's talking about Captain Britain, but she obviously doesn't know he's here and being experimented on and, like, supposed to be here. She's like, he also is, like, unpure, so get him out, please. In the nicest way possible.
That guy that we have pinned down who keeps screaming all day when we stab him,
he's waking the babies. And so Thor's like, okay, and he just heads that way. When she says there's another person there, he just kind of immediately flies off, and he sees Captain Britain, being experimented on and cut open. And Thor jumps in and he saves him. And Thor says, basically, we're going to get out of here, Jamie. Can you fly? And Jamie says, no, I can't. And Thor says, okay, well, I'll get us out of here. And right before he goes to leave, someone says, a moment of your time before you leave, Thor. I need you to carry a message back to your keepers. And it's the Maker walking out towards him. And Reed Richards is a big theater dork. Because I think they choreographed all of these things. Him and his flying monkeys and his cool little sword guy who's, like, kneeling doing a pose in front of him. I just can't help but think that they practice this.
Oh, yeah.
And Reed Richards seems like the type of guy who's, like, goofy enough to do that.
Yeah, it's very arch. It's fun. It's the kind of
very
villainy.
Camp.
It's the kind of villainy that we haven't seen a lot of in the Ultimate Comics because they've been specifically trying to avoid it because they thought it was cooler to be more, like, grounded and edgy. But you're right. Here, he's just fully, like, okay, dude, I have to make a cool entrance with my army of flying monkeys behind me.
And here's something I just noticed in the panel of Thor and Captain Britain. No, it's not that Captain Britain looks like he's not wearing any pants in this scene. It's that there is another dead guy next to him who has obviously been experimented on. Who is this? Is this Captain France?
So I'm glad you asked that, because I was also noticing.
Oh, and there's another side. There's somebody else on the other side.
John, this is incredible mise-en-scène. Flip back to the page before, and it looks like Jamie Braddock is the only one alive on this conveyor belt headed towards like an incinerator. There's tons of people that they've stolen and are like experimenting on or killing and then burning. Presumably these are like the inhabitants of the cities that they took over in Europe already.
Yeah, you're right. Wow.
So this is like a full-on genocide that they're doing. They're just like taking over entire cities at a time and chaining these people to a conveyor belt into a fire.
And one of the guys does look like he's alive. The guy next to Captain Britain on the scene where Thor saves him, but then on the next scene it looks like both people on both sides are dead. But presumably Thor has stopped the conveyor belt moving people towards the fire. But it may have been paused already, because why would Captain Britain be like getting like those things look like they're doing something to him, but other than that, it looks like he's just on a conveyor belt moving towards flames. So which is happening?
Right. Yeah, it's unclear.
It could be paused currently. So Thor and Captain Britain face the Maker, and Thor says, "You are mistaken, stranger. I have no master, and I'm no man's courier." I just love the way he talks.
Yeah.
It's such beautiful prose.
Hickman is a good Thor writer. I wish he had gotten to do more Thor.
And the Maker says back, "Then consider it a favor for the man who tore Asgard from the sky." And Thor, with a vengeful look in his eye, which we've noticed a lot. We've mentioned a lot of times where Thor is at his best, and right along with that is vengeful Thor is definitely peak Thor. And he says, "I'm sorry, Jamie. It appears we will not be leaving." And he jumps in to fight. Oh my gosh, it's just the coolest thing.
And the look on Jamie Braddock's face when he says that. It's great.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the scene in Django Unchained where, what's his name? Is it Christopher Waltz?
Yes. Yep.
He just shoots Leonardo DiCaprio and looks over at Jamie Foxx and is like, "Sorry, I couldn't help it."
Yeah.
and he knows he just got himself killed, and he's probably got Jamie Foxx killed, but he's like, "Dude, I couldn't go another second without killing this motherfucker."
Couldn't let that pass. Sometimes you just can't let it pass.
Yeah. So yeah, Thor goes berserk.
Yes. And it's so awesome. It's like the fourth time we've seen him go berserk in the last like 2 issues, And so we're back on Earth. Nick Fury is watching, from a far distance out towards the dome, and he can see electricity and thunder and lightning going through the air. And he says, "I hope you burn all of them, God of Thunder." And Tony is thinking to himself, and he says, "Nick, I can't just sit here." And Fury kind of finishes his thought and says, "Go." And Fury says, "If you feel like you have to go, then you can go. But then you won't be here when we need you, Tony. But go if you must. Follow Thor into that city and end up just like he's going to, dead." And Tony, unless in this issue, Tony does not go for him. And it got me thinking, what would the Avengers do in this situation? If this were the MCU, what would Tony Stark do? And what would Captain America do? And okay, you can go. I'm sure we're going to come to the exact same conclusion.
Would definitely go and try and save his friend.
100%. It wouldn't even be like a thought. It's just the right thing to do.
I think for Tony, it would depend on where he is in his narrative, right? Because think like early on, like phase 1, he's not doing this for anyone. And then by the Avengers movie, he might do it if it makes sense, right? And then by Endgame, he's doing it no matter what. He's going to go save his
you're
friend.
right. Yep, that's a good point. Yeah, that is the conclusion I came to. I was like, they both would. Captain America definitely would.
Yes. You could manufacture a situation in which Iron Man doesn't go, but he probably would.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't know. That's where that scene ends. He's like, "Go if you need to, Tony." And I got to tell you, I was expecting. I've seen a lot of superhero movies and just movies in general. I know how the second and third act usually plays out. I'm expecting things to go badly for Thor and for Iron Man to make a superhero entrance here, helping out his buddy. And I don't know, I've actually only read this once, and I don't fully remember what happens. So I don't think that's what happens, but we're going to find out.
That's why we call it the First Read podcast.
So Thor is doing big lightning blasts. He's kind of like fully ascended into his god power. I mean, this is very Infinity War Thor. You know, he's just going in, he's blasting people.
Well, he blew up like 2 ships with one blast of lightning. These are like their big gunships that are like their versions of the helicarriers.
It's good seeing Thor just like be the best.
He gets to let loose.
You forget that he is such a god among men. You know, even among superheroes, he is a god.
Yes.
And we don't get that enough.
This is the kind of fight you need him to be in. Like, just like Daredevil needs to be outnumbered in a dark hallway where he's like jumping off the walls and shit. Thor needs to be like against all odds where he can just totally let loose with his powers.
Yeah. And it does look like he's moving through these Children of Tomorrow, the goons, pretty easily. And then the Maker says, "First knife," which I guess is that goofy knife soldier thing we were talking about that's posing in front of the Maker. He says, "First knife, please show the man the future." And the knife comes in, and it was kind of hard to tell what was happening, because the first time I kind of looked these pages, I was like, oh, nice. Thor is still just shredding, you know? And then all of a sudden you turn the page and Thor's like face down and the knife is like on his back and he totally got annihilated. And I had to flip back and look at it again. And I'm like, oh yeah, he is kind of getting sliced up and stabbed. So this guy, he got pretty good. And the Maker says more. And the first knife just keeps pummeling him. And he says again, and he keeps pummeling him. And the Maker says, now if I was a villain, if I was evil, I would have the knife kill you, Thor. Instead, I have mercy. Mercy for the man who will be my messenger. Call it mercy for fond memories. And he says, raise your head, Lord of Thunder. Look at me. And Thor raises his bloodied face. And the Maker says, I want you to see my face. And we can see he lifts up his helmet, but we still can't see who it is.
Because remember, this is kind of the mystery of the book to some segment of the readers still at this point.
Probably not very many. What would you say the percentage is that doesn't know this is coming?
When it was coming out, I think it was higher than today. At this point, 10 years
No, I mean when it came
road.
out. When it came out. You think 50% of people who picked it up knew that this was the Maker, more, less?
I would say less, because I think you had people who were just buying it because it said the Ultimates and who hadn't read the whole series with Spider-Man.
Okay. Well, then this is kind of a big deal. And Thor says, you And the Maker says, yes, me. We still can't see who it is, though. And here's the message you are going to carry back to Nick Fury and all the other heroes of the Republic. The city has reached its potential. It has finished growing, and only the children are welcome here. All that we have claimed is now ours forever. The rest we leave to you and the world. Accept this for what it is and never return. It is peace and the best we have to offer.
It's a good offer, John.
That is a good offer. They should be taking that offer gladly.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure their best diplomats are going to see that as a win.
Why would they not? Why would they not?
Because they're a proud people. I don't know.
And maybe that's really what Hickman's saying. Pride is the downfall of all.
Maybe it's, do you think the sunk cost fallacy applies to human life? Because we know the city has already overtaken what they say, like London and Paris.
Well, exactly. That's the first point I think of is they've already expanded this far. If they say they're not going any further, then there is no further harm that's going to happen.
But do we have a moral obligation to avenge? See what I did there?
Yeah.
The people that we've already lost because of the city. Or would we just be...
Well, we can't avenge them. But exactly.
Yeah.
If there was a fight to win, the answer would be yes. But there isn't one. It's an unwinnable situation. So although it would feel good, this is the win right here. This is how you win.
Yes. So I guess which is more heroic? The people who will accept defeat and save more lives, or the people who will fight against the inevitable, knowing that it might make things worse? So it's a lot like Watchmen, actually.
Well, it makes me think, I tend to, me and my love of Captain America, I tend to think, well, if there's a situation, what would Steve Rogers do? And that is probably the morally correct thing to do. And in the situation you just described, there is no way Steve Rogers is not fighting. He'll go down with the shit. This doesn't,
he's going to be like the leader of the underground resistance or something.
Yeah. Yes. That's exactly like what he'd be. That I could see that. And I'm just not sure.
He hasn't showed up yet, notably in the Ultimates that we're reading right now.
I've noticed that. Yeah. They keep saying Steve Rogers still is unknown.
Yeah.
Okay, so pretty good deal. Thor and the world just got offered by the Maker. And he says, and tell them, Thor, I was right all along. And as the Maker and the children of tomorrow begin to fly away, Jamie Braddock says, Thor, they're escaping. We have to go. And Thor pushes him away and says, get away from me. And Captain Britain says, I'm not going to let you give up. And he says, I haven't given up. I was beaten. And then someone is talking to Thor, but the speech bubble changes a little and it's kind of grayed out and you don't really know what it is. I think the assumption is, right, the first time I read it, that Jamie Braddock is just talking to him kind of. And then he says, I want you to get up. And Thor says, no, it's all gone. Asgard, my kin. I've lost everything. I can't. And the voice says, stand. And Thor says, I won't. And then it says, on your feet, boy. And I did know that this was Odin before I turned the page. I was like, oh, it's Odin. This comic's so awesome. This is so f***ing awesome. You can bleep that one?
It's such a cool
Did you notice
effect.
I didn't bleep my episode?
Oh, I didn't notice.
There wasn't that much cursing.
It's such a cool effect that Thor is speaking out loud to the voice in his head, which would make you think that Jamie's the one talking to him. And then it's a reveal that...
Well, and he doesn't even know. He thinks
Right.
it's... it's Jamie because his eyes are shut.
His absolutely rocked, and he thinks he's hearing this voice out loud in the real world, and he's like responding to it, and it's just in his like concussion or his subconscious. His dad is like talking to him.
Well, let's see if it isn't his. If it is like a concussion or subconscious. Okay, I'm going to do an Odin impression. I just can't help myself sometimes. Okay, so we turn the page and it's Odin in all of his ghostly glory. And he says, "You disappoint me, Thor!" How was that? Was that a good Anthony Hopkins?
I kind of forgot who played Odin.
I'm trying to channel when he's like, "I strip you of your power, your power." It's pretty good.
Pretty good stuff.
And he says, "Have you forgotten I gave you this world? I gave this world to you to make it into something better." And Thor, who kind of has a newfound resilience almost, he says, "I remember, Father." And Jamie says, "Who are you talking to?" And Thor says, "You died. Everyone died. And something in me died as well. I am less than what I was." And Odin says, "God or man, does it matter? Of Asgard, you are all that is left." And he says, "What do you want me to do, Father?" And Captain Britain's just standing behind him, perplexed.
He's got the funniest look on his face. You know who he looks like right here? You know who would play him in the MCU based off of this panel? Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That does look like him. And Odin says, "Everything you can, everything you must, make this world into what it should be." And Odin says, "Father, I'm alone. You ask the impossible." And Odin says, "Odin asks nothing of the kind." And alone? Ha! You will never be alone again, Thor. I guess some big giant guy says that. And then someone else in the background says, "It appears you have become Valhalla, my friend." And Thor turns around and because he is the last of Asgard, his mind has effectively become Valhalla. And all of Asgard is now in his mind. I like this.
Yeah.
I dug it. It made sense considering what we know about Thor and how his powers from Asgard. It makes enough sense that I like it.
It's the classic, like, point at someone's heart and be like, "It was all here all along."
The real Valhalla is the friendships we made along the way.
It's inside you.
And then some sniveling little Severus Snape looking dork walks up to Thor and said, "And as for what is possible and what is not, tell me, do you lack faith, brother, or do you believe?" And I was like, oh, cool. That was Loki. I wish he didn't look like that.
Yeah, he looks awful.
But I do like me some Loki. And I like it when he calls him brother.
Yes.
And Thor, with a tear to his eye, kind of stands up. So, Thor makes it back to the world. He's on the ship with Nick Fury and Hawkeye. And he says, Nick Fury is asking him, "And you think this is a warning that they were sincere?" And Thor says, "I believe it was. They could have killed me anytime they wished. They didn't. Don't cross them and they won't cross us." That's smart. Thor is a good voice of reason. And he always wants vengeance. So the fact that he is not, it kind of feels like at the moment they're going to take the deal.
Well, I hate to tell you this, John, but the "don't cross them and they won't cross us" doesn't come from Thor. It comes from Nick Fury, and he says it as a question. Thor just came there and is reporting the facts.
Ah. So do we think that's what Thor wants to do? Let's keep reading.
Yeah.
So Nick Fury says they took 200 square miles of Northern Europe, killed countless civilians, and we're just supposed to walk away 200 miles. Not that much space. Not that much space in the grand scheme of things. That's like what? Chicago to Indiana?
Yeah.
And it's like
that.
And it's like
it's like the width of Indiana.
And it's like in Europe. So we don't even care about that over here, right?
I don't know, John. Let's look at where our listeners come from before we say that definitively.
That's true. Here, maybe I'll take that again with another continent. And isn't it in like Australia? We don't even care about that.
We've got some Australian listeners.
Okay.
Antarctica. We can beat up on Antarctica.
But it really isn't. It isn't that far. I figured it was bigger than that. Because maybe Europe is like smaller than I thought, but our country's just that small. That it's in multiple countries, 200 miles.
Yeah, that's possible.
Is 200 miles more than I think it is?
Well, they say, is it 200 square miles or like wide? Because 200 square miles would not be that much.
200 square miles is nothing. And he does say 200 square miles, but 200 square miles is nothing. Unless he means like 200 squared miles.
That's not what he says.
But that's not what he says.
Hey, but not everyone
200 square miles would be like 14 by 14 miles.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on like how urban of a population. But it started in the desert.
I mean, 14 by 14 is nothing. So he must have meant 200 miles big. We
saw that it started in a desert in Germany, in northern Germany. So I don't know. Dude. If it didn't take that many populated towns, I feel like geopolitically, you kind of have to let them do their thing.
Yeah. And so Nick Fury kind of explains the situation, and he says, how am I going to sell something like that? And Black Widow says, because it's the truth. And Hawkeye, correctly, he's so smart, dude. I love that he's always thinking. He says, more like because the other options are more frightening. And he's just dressed so stupidly, too. I can't believe it. Hawkeye can be cool.
He honestly was cooler when we first were introduced to him in this universe, when he had a shaved head and dressed like he was in the Matrix.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Now, that was a classic. Wasn't he with Black Widow at the time there?
I don't think they were together.
No, I didn't mean like dating.
Oh, yeah.
They were doing missions together, right?
Sure. We didn't know who they were, and they just went in and started shooting up an office building, and we were like...
And then they mentioned that it's like Clint or Hawkeye or something. We're like, oh, that's Hawkeye?
He just did a mass shooting, but it was cool because they were all aliens.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was awesome. Okay, so Fury says, is that everything, Thor? And he says again, I said, was that everything? And Loki from the background says, oh, here it comes. Tell them the bit that will make them wet themselves, brother. And Thor says, no, there's one other thing. It's actually much worse. The man behind all this, their maker, it's Reed Richards. And we get the reveal that Thor was looking at, which is basically just the maker with his helmet up, and it's Reed Richards. And his face does not look as messed up as I remembered it.
From the last time we saw him?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
he's had some good cosmetic surgery. He's had some time to heal.
Sure. He built a world that was 10,000 years more advanced in scar removal.
Yeah. And yet it's still like there. That's kind of, I would think he would have, it's probably there as a reminder. Surely he could fix it if he wanted to.
I don't know, because I think it's also meant to evoke Dr. Doom, who is himself insanely smart and has resources, but can never fix his face to the point that he's satisfied with it, and so he hides behind this hideous mask.
So, what do we think of this one?
I like this one a lot better. This is actually...
I like this one a lot, too.
Good world building and makes the maker seem scary. And it doesn't diminish Thor to do it. Thor gets his badass moments. It's just business is business, and at the end of the day, the maker has to be the biggest badass on the stage.
I wish that maybe he didn't get beat up so easily by that, like, knife guy. Like, that... It did seem a little, like, overpowered or depowered for Thor. He just got his ass kicked in, like, 3 panels by something.
It is funny that we've spent all this time reading comic books where it's like, the superheroes have to deal with a guy with mechanical arms. The superheroes have to deal with a guy who can shoot electricity. And then it turns out the ultimate trump card that no superheroes can beat is just a big knife.
It's just a guy with knives for hands.
If that
seems like a Rick and Morty thing.
Yes, if the bad guys had just used
knife
knives.
hand.
Oh, surely Rick and Morty's made fun of Edward Scissorhands.
Probably. So, out of 10 knives?
Sure. How many knives out?
9 knives out again. I think both of these were great.
I will meet you there. I'll give this one a 9 because I liked it a lot better. It felt more like a story than just flipping through pages of cool action.
Yeah, I am looking forward to seeing Captain America in this run. I'd like to see some more Spider-Woman. And who knows? I mean, surely we'll see all of the Ultimates more.
Well, what do you know? Spider-Woman's on the cover of the next issue.
Yep. Are we reading those next?
I'll leave it up to you. Do you want to do an Ultimates episode next or a Spider-Man episode next?
Let's do the Ultimates next. I'm way more invested in that.
Okay, so next week we'll read Ultimates number 5 and 6.
Yep.
Awesome.
Okay, what else do we have? Any other Spider-Man news? Any Spider-Man news at all this week? We didn't even talk Spider-Man.
I don't think there was any Spider-Man news.
Okay, well, I have a couple things for you.
What do you got? What are your other things, John?
Do you want the stupid thing I saw on the internet or the stupid thing from real life?
Let me get the internet first.
Okay. So I'm just like driving somewhere. We recently talked about wanting to become like hardcore conservative to grift people, right?
There's a lot of money in it.
Yes. Well, I was like the next day I was driving and I had some YouTube video going in my car.
John, have you ever lost a swim competition? There's a lot of money in grifting for that.
Yeah. I've tied for 6th before and went on a national rampage about it.
All right, there we go. That's our paycheck.
No, so this ad pops up before the YouTube video, and of course it's like Jordan Peterson's hilarious voice. He's so funny, you'd know him anywhere. And he's like, "Listen, the thing about college is it's a scam. They're taking your money. You're not learning anything. It's all this and that. Instead, join the Peterson Academy. It's only this amount of money." And I'm like, how are people doing this seriously? This is just, it's so, I just can't believe it.
Yeah.
Zach, I just can't believe it. I thought it was so funny.
I think we will get further down that rabbit hole where there will be like all these random ass accreditations and like celebrity colleges. I would not be surprised if like someday I have to like act proud as my grandkids walk across the stage at like John Cena University for a degree in thugonomics.
He was like at one of the things. It was just so perfect. I was like, you go to college, you pay a person to teach you what's important. You don't want to do that. Peterson Academy. And I just like, I couldn't believe the cognitive dissonance going on. I just don't. He's scamming people, right? Like,
I don't know.
He knows it's a scam.
I don't know. Maybe he's a free
Is
thinker.
he stupid or is he a liar? What do you think?
Dude, I have not thought that much about Jordan Peterson ever in my life.
Oh, okay. Oh, I think about him all the time.
I love that for you. That's very funny. I like the bits that you tell me. Like when you walk into a Barnes & Noble and you see one of his books and you're like, I just got so mad. I'm like,
you got to clean your room.
I wouldn't have known him from like the next grifter.
Oh my gosh, she's hilarious. Okay, now you want the stupid real life thing?
Yeah, what's the real life thing?
Back to school night. Okay. We have to do a little spiel in front of the parents, hey, my name's this. This is what I teach, blah blah blah. I don't have to say that much. I'm just a resource teacher. And the social studies teacher goes up in front of the 7th grade parents. And she's like, yeah, in 7th grade, we get into like other cultures a lot. So like we touch on this. And one of the things that I really want to stress to the kids is we do not accept like making fun of other cultures, right? Like it's not tolerated. Like we're going to learn about other cultures. Things are going to be different. Like the kids have to know that like, great point made, right?
Does she keep talking and dig a hole?
There's like a 1 second pause. For example, we're not going to call Muslim people terrorists. We're not going to call Arabs terrorists or anything like that. Dude, me and one of the other teachers just like, did the office thing where you just like look at each other. It's just like slight head shake. Oh my gosh. One of the funniest things that I've ever encountered in real life.
You should have raised your hand and asked for more examples of what we're not going to do.
Dude, I've made that joke since then. I'm like, that would have been the funniest bit ever to be like, and obviously we're not going to call Chinese people X, and don't even get me started on black people, just keep going. Now that's a comedy bit. It reminded me of when Kanye West was giving an interview and he's like, we all know who runs Hollywood. We're not supposed to say it, but we all know it, right? And we can't say it. If you ever say it, you get in trouble. And then there's like a lull in the conversation. It's the Jews. Oh, you were so close, man. You almost got away with it.
I love... What is it? Why is it so funny when terrible people do something like that, but the delivery is perfect?
Well, my teacher's not a terrible person, right? She had the best of intentions.
I'm talking about Kanye.
Yeah.
I was watching, when I was telling you about that Waco documentary a while back, and I was like watching about this like cult leader in Waco, Texas in the 90s. He's like objectively a terrible person, right? I mean, he's the reason all of these people died. He was like breaking up families and like, hey, I'm God, so your wife is now my wife. Not cool, right? He was definitely like abusing the kids that were on the compound. Dude's a monster, right? Can't overstate that enough. But sometimes they would show like original clips of David Koresh like on his compound giving interviews before all the shit went down. And he had that Trump quality where this dude is just electric. And it's not always for good reasons, but he just has the magic when the camera is on. And at one point they're showing like a video that he made from inside the compound during the siege. And he's been shot in like the kidney and he's bleeding and he knows he's dying. And he's like making videos to the feds that he's passing outside where he like has to kind of like still play tough and threaten them and stuff. and he's just like slumped over on a couch, holding his guts. And a little girl walks by.
Still trying to play his part.
Absolutely. A little girl walks by and he like calls her over and he's like, "Come here, baby." And he sets this like toddler on his lap. And she's like mixed. She's like, her mom is like clearly Mexican. And he's the dad. And he never says her name. He goes, "This is my little taco girl. This is what I'm fighting to defend. If you come at my door with my family, be ready to be greeted with a gun. Now get out of here." And he like kicks the kid off of his lap.
Oh my gosh.
Like, dude, I mean, he's a monster. Like, you don't, under no circumstances do you have to hand it to David Koresh. But in another life,
funny.
In another life, this guy would have had his own Comedy Central special.
Those were my two stupid things. You got anything for us?
I don't. I'll probably have to cut out a lot of that where it seems like I'm praising David Koresh for a racist joke he made of his own daughter, who then like later definitely died when they burned the compound down. Like, it's a tragic situation, 100%.
Well, you better not cut out my bit.
Okay, your bit was good.
Okay, next week, Ultimates issue 5 and 6. We're back with the maker.
That's right.
Thank you so much to Ian Hickey for the music and Alyssa Seaman for the artwork. You can find us the First Read Ultimate Spider-Man podcast on Spotify or Apple Music or anywhere else you find podcasts. And you can come and chat with us. Leave us a message on Instagram at First Read Podcast. Send us an email at firstreadspidey@gmail.com or find us on YouTube, the First Read Ultimate Spider-Man podcast. See you next week, Zach.
See ya.